As we come into the last 250, it still looks like the St. George's crew out in lane 8, who look to have half a length up on the Bay of Plenty Coast crew in number 3. But through the middle of the race, it looks very close with Hamilton, number 2, really upping their rate and attacking this Bay of Plenty Coast crew. So your top 3 look to be St. George's in lane 8, Bay of Plenty Coast in lane 3, and Hamilton in lane 2. This Hamilton crew's really got their rate up and they're attacking the Bay of Plenty Coast, pushing for that second place. And both crews are walking on the St. George's crew, but it looks like they're going to take the win in this B final of the men's intermediate double. And Bay of Plenty Coast have just lifted. They've lifted up and they're going to take the second place in the B final, followed by Hamilton in third. St. George's in lane 4 look like they'll take fourth, and the second Bay of Plenty Coast crew will take fifth, followed by Hamilton Rowing Club and Tauranga. Now we look to this A final of the men's intermediate double sculls. We've got St. George's 13 in lane 1, St. George's 12 in lane 2, Hauraki Plains number 1 in lane 3, Tauranga Boys in lane 4, Sacred Heart, Auckland in lane 5, Cambridge in lane 6, St John's, Hamilton in lane 7, and Cambridge in lane 8. And as we look down the field, it looks to be this Tauranga crew well out in followed by Hauraki Plains, and it looks to be St Peter's hitting a bit of rough water, but they've collected themselves and they're going to finish strong. And it's going to be a battle between lane 1, which is St George's, and lane 7, which is St John's. Both neck and neck. It's going to be close, but it looks like St George's have lifted and they will take 4th place in the double, followed by St John's, followed by Sacred Heart and Cambridge. Big thank you to our sponsor, the Waipa District Council. coming down the course now, we have the final of the men's under 16 single. In lane 1 we have West End 31, lane 2 St George's 11, lane 3 Tauranga number 1, lane 4 Whakatane, and it looks to be this Whakatane sculler who's well out in front. Lane 5 we have Tauranga Boys number 1, lane 6 Cambridge High School number 1, lane 7 Cambridge 21, and in lane 8 we have King's College. But as we look into the last 100, it does look like this Whakatane sculler, coached by Graham Watt, who's got a very, very comfortable margin out in front. In second, though, it looks to be a nice and close race with West End and Cambridge High School really fighting it out, along with Tauranga Boys. This race is sponsored by the Aotearoa Boat Company. Big thank you to our sponsors. And it's a Whakatane sculler who hits the last 100. He looks And so it's a Whakatane sculler who crosses the line to take a nice win. But it's heating up for second place between the Cambridge High School sculler and West End, along with the Tauranga sculler in lane 5. So it looks to be this Cambridge High School sculler sitting nice and comfortable, really relaxed, just coming into the line with this West End sculler getting pushed by the Tauranga sculler in lane number 5. And it looks to be Cambridge takes second, with Tauranga taking third, and West End takes fourth, along with Tauranga in fifth, Cambridge in sixth, and it looks to be this King's sculler coming in right at the back. And now coming down the course, we have a combination of the women's intermediate 8 and the girls under 16 8. We look to have West End 31 in lane 2, Hamilton 21 in lane 3, Counties Manukau in lane 1, Waikato number 1 in lane 5, Cambridge 21 in lane 6, and St George's 11 in lane 7. So once again, this is a combined race with the women's intermediate 8 and the girls under 16 8. As we come into the last 500, we can only imagine the coxes screaming at their crews, trying to pick up the rating, trying to pick up the pressure. And it looks to be a big battle between Waikato Diocesan and Counties Monaco. These two crews are neck and neck with the coxes screaming at each other, trying to get the upper edge on the other crews. And as Waikato Dio hit the last 100, they look to almost have clear water on. Just trying to extend the lead in the last few strokes they have. So it'll be Dio coming down to take first, followed by Counties in second. This race is sponsored by the Waipa District Council and King's Racing. And it looks to be these two crews first and second, followed by Hamilton Rowing Club coming in third, followed by West End, which is Mags coming in fourth, and the Cambridge crew outside coming in at fifth. Now coming up we have a very exciting race with the Women's Novice Coxed Octuple Sculls sponsored by the NZ Trust community. In lane 1 we have Rotorua, in lane 2 we have Counties Manukau, in lane 3 we have Tauranga, in lane 4 we have Whanganui, in lane 5 we have Mercer, in lane 6 we have St George's, and in lane 7 we have Cambridge. So it looks to be this Whanganui crew out in front, really ripping it through the water, followed by the Tauranga crew who look to be half a length down. And as they hit 100 to go, it looks to be this Whangarei crew out in front, almost clear water over Tauranga. Both crews fighting hard for the win. But it looks to be this Whangarei crew looking long and relaxed, coming down to the line. They'll take the win in the Women's Novice Octuple Sculls. And Whangarei take the win, followed by Tauranga. And it looks to be a bit of a ding-dong battle between Mercer and St George's. But it looks to be Mercer who've got the upper edge, 2 seats up. But St George's are coming back. It's harder to pick than a broken nose. And I'm not going to call it. I think, no, that was too close to tell. And coming in 5th place, we have Counties Manukau. But what a close finish between St George's and Mercer.
crowd in a couple of hours, so good luck to you there. As you can see, we have the girls under 18 coxed pair oars coming down. In lane 1, we have Waikato 1, lane 2, Cambridge High School 1, lane 3, Hamilton 22, lane 4, Cambridge 21, lane 5, Hamilton 21, lane 6, West End 31, and out in lane 7, St George's 31. But it is the crew in the middle there, Hamilton 21 in lane 5, with a comfortable lead over their teammates, Hamilton 22 in lane 3. So the crew out in lane 5, Georgia Kendrick and Sarah Healy, have about half a boat length in front of Hamilton 22, Kate Davies and Lily Ashton. So it looks like it will be a Hamilton 1-2 as they come into the last 250 metres of their race. Both crews coached by Rachel Brown and Tony Burns, so hopefully Rachel and Tony are happy with this performance today in the under 18 coxless pairs. We look back to third place and we have Cambridge 21 in the middle, who had a little bit of a mishap with their steering a bit earlier but seemed to be coming back at West End 31 out in lane 6. Cambridge 21 is Maya and Olivia, this crew from St Peter's rowing under Cambridge Rowing Club, and they look to have overcome West End 31 on the outside. That is Ruby and Bella. They look to be a Mount Albert Grammar School crew. So the Cambridge crew in the middle coming up and taking third place off West End, but it will definitely be this lane 5 Hamilton 21 crew of Georgia Kendrick and Sarah Healy with quite a comfortable lead over their teammates Kate and Lily in lane 3. So this is the final of the girls under 18 coxless pairs, and let's give them a big cheer as they come over the line with clear water over lane 3. A commanding performance from these girls in the pair, and well done to Georgia and Sarah there, but it is still a race off of third. West End coming back at Cambridge in the middle there. It does look like Cambridge is just ahead of West End, but there are still about 10 strokes to go. It is very close between these two crews, lane 4 and lane 6. And I will not be calling who has won out of those two crews because that is the judge's job. So well done to both of those crews for a race right down to the line. We now have a race between lane 7 and lane 1. Lane 1, Waikato 1, and lane 7, St George's 31. But it will be St George's over Waikato, St George's on the outside, crossing over now just ahead of Waikato 1 in lane 1. So that rounds out the girls under 18 coxless pair, sponsored by Mitre 10 Mega Cambridge. Thank you for your sponsorship there. And as we look down the course, we are straight into the men's club coxed 8. In lane 2, St George's number 1, lane 3, North Shore number 1, lane 4, Auckland 1, lane 5, Sacred Heart Auckland number 1, lane 6, Hamilton Boys High School number 1, and in lane 7, North Shore 11. Looking at the middle of the course there, it does look like the Auckland number 1 crew is in the lead in the men's club coxed 8. This boat coached by Peter Mills and Pete Mason. With about 300 metres to go, St George's down in lane 1, trying to keep the pressure on, as well as the crew outside Auckland, Sacred Heart Auckland, up there trying to get into that second place, but it is the crew from Auckland, coxed by Isabella Farnell, currently in the lead with about 300 metres to go. St George's in lane 2 making a big push, trying to come up on them. And let's not forget North Shore in lane 3. They're also not out of the mix yet for third place. So coming into the last 200 metres of the race, it is still Auckland Rowing Club over St George's, both crews rowing on the Tamaki up in Auckland, but it is Auckland ahead of St George's. St George's trying to come back in the last 150 metres of the race. Auckland Rowing Club through to the last 100. Boxed 8. St George's down here in lane 2, coached by John Cook, fellow commentator. Great performance from these club boys down in lane 2, and in third place will be Sacred Heart Auckland out in lane 5. with half a boat length on North Shore 1 in lane 3 and Hamilton Boys High School number 6 out in lane 6. So as we round out the men's club Coxed 8, we would like to thank the Defence Force for their sponsorship of that event. Navy, Army and Air Force is a place like nowhere else where epic adventures and experiences create unbreakable bonds. Sound like something you'd be into? Visit the Defence Force crew at the Regatta to discover how you can build a career and make best mates for life. With over 100 roles available, there's something for everyone, from combat roles to IT and navigation, tradies to medical professionals. In lane 1, West End 32, lane 2, North Shore 13, lane 3, North Shore 12, lane 4, Auckland Grammar 1, lane 5, West End 22, lane 6, West End 21, lane 7, Auckland Grammar number 2, and in lane 8, King's College. But it does look to be the Auckland Grammar number 1 crew in the middle out there in lane 4, just in the lead, but West End 22 on their outside is giving them a bit of a run for their money alongside the other West End crew out in lane 6. It's pretty tight between those three crews, and the crew from North Shore 13 in lane 2, that looks to be like a Westlake Boys crew, also up in the mix there. So Auckland Grammar with a half a boat length ahead with 300 metres to go, but these crews will be winding up and giving their all in the last couple of hundred metres of this race. So a big cheer for Grammar as they come through from their supporters down there on the dais. Auckland Grammar coming through to the last 250 metres, just ahead of West End 22 on the outside in lane 5. This crew, coxed by Oscar Malloy, coached by Samuel Jackson and Cameron Patton. So Auckland Grammar still with half a boat length on them though, and the crew in lane 2, North Shore 13, coached by Andy Hay and Joe Shotter, they are giving one last push to try and get up into that second place. West End on out in lane 6 as well though. West End 21, another St Peter's school out stroke for stroke with their teammates, but it is Auckland Grammar with a boat length in front of North Shore and both West End crews. Auckland Grammar coming down to their final 5 strokes of the race with 3/4 of a boat length over, looks like West End, both West End crews over North Shore at the end there. So West End 22 in lane 5 over West End 21 in lane 6. There are a lot of West End crews in this race, and we come down to the final finishes. We also have a North Shore crew in lane 3, Auckland Grammar number 2 in lane 7, and King's College out in lane 8. And coming into the last 500 metres now, we have a combined race again, the men's senior coxless quads and the women's senior coxless quads. So in lane 1, Auckland number 1, lane 2, Hamilton number 1, lane 3, Tauranga number 1, lane 4, North Shore number 1, and those are the men's quads. Out in lane 5, we have North Shore number 1, which is a women's quad, and lane 6, also North Shore, another women's quad out there. So there does look to be a crew missing from this race. I see Auckland, Hamilton and Tauranga, so potentially one of the North Shore crews missing. But it is currently Hamilton number 1 in lane 2, ahead of the race in the combined men's and women's senior coxless quad events. This quad is coached by Blair Curry out of Hamilton. And they look to have about 3/4 of a boat length over Tauranga in lane 3, their closest competitors there. But watch out for the quad out in lane 6. That women's quad from North Shore are giving them a run for their money out there. It will be Hamilton though, coming into the last 200 metres of the race. Hamilton ahead of Tauranga, and Tauranga just ahead of the North Shore women's crew out in lane 6, followed by North Shore in lane 5 and Auckland in lane 1. So they come into the last 100 metres, and Hamilton have just brought up their rating, stroked by Justin Smythe, just in the stroke of the men's under-19 quad this year at the World Championships in Paris. So Justin leading the way for his crew down to the finish line in the final of the men's senior quad. Well done to Justin. And in 2-seat we can see Jack Clark, also a member of that quad. He was in the bow. Well done to Hamilton there. Tauranga crossing over now as well to take second place. And out in lane 6, North Shore number 2, coached by Liam Avery. They will take first place for the women, third place for the men. And down on the line we have Auckland just over the North Shore number 1 crew in lane 5, the women's quad. So that is an exciting combined race there. Both of those events sponsored by SL Racing and Mitre 10 Mega Cambridge. SL Racing, you'll notice, has a tent out the side, or out the back of the tower, sorry. And at SL Racing, they don't believe in second best when it comes to customer service. Their care continues well past purchase. At SL Racing, they work closely with you to design and build the perfect racing boat solution. So when you're on the water, you can focus on the finish line and not on your equipment. And on the course now, we have the men's intermediate coxed 4, sponsored by Wintec Racing. Out in lane 1, we have Sacred Heart Auckland number 2, lane 2, North Shore 14, lane 3, St John's Hamilton number 1, lane 4, Tauranga Boys College number 1, lane 5, Hamilton Boys High School Composite number 3, lane 6, St John's Hamilton number 2, lane 7, Cambridge 21, and out in lane 8, Sacred Heart Auckland number 1. But it does look to be like the crew in lane 4, that is Tauranga Boys College, out in the lead here in the men's intermediate coxed 4, but they are under some pressure from their outside, the Hamilton Boys High School Composite number 3, out in lane 5. And coming up in that third place position, it does look to be like St John's Hamilton number 1 there. So those are your top 3 crews at the moment. Tauranga Boys in the lead, not quite out into safety yet, with Hamilton Boys just on their outside, putting them under some pressure. And St John's also on their inside, trying to get back some metres and get up into that second place position. Following that St John's crew, we do have the other St John's crew out in lane 6, currently sitting in 4th place, under some pressure from lane 2, North Shore 14, and lane 1, Sacred Heart Auckland number 2. And coming down into that last 250 metres, it is still Tauranga Boys College in the lead. St John's Hamilton, though, in lane 3 have made up some ground and are gaining on the Hamilton Boys High School Composite out in lane 5. Tauranga Boys looking to have clear water, though, over the second place getters. Currently, looks like it's Hamilton Boys just over St John, but St John are putting everything into this, trying to get up into that second place with that Hamilton Boys High School Composite. As they come into the last 100 metres, it does look like St John's may have them, but it will come down to the line. St John's just putting up their rating. Tauranga Boys comfortably in the lead with clear water over Hamilton Boys Composite and St John's Hamilton. They have about 3 strokes to go before they finish their race. So well done to Tauranga Boys for taking out the final of the intermediate men's coxed 4. But it will be Hamilton over St John's by about a canvas. Hamilton Boys Composite to take second place, and currently it is the St John's number 2 crew racing for that 4th place in front of North Shore 14, which looks to be like a Westlake Boys crew. It will be St John's number 2, 3/4 of a boat length over North Shore, followed by Sacred Heart number 2 in lane 1 and Cambridge 21 out in lane 7. Our next event is the Boys Under 16 Coxed 4. Now this event is sponsored by Crew Room, and down here in Lane 1 we have North Shore 12, Lane 2 North Shore 11, Lane 3 West End 21, Lane 4 Hamilton Boys High School number 1, Lane 5 Cambridge High School number 1, Lane 6 King's College number 1, Lane 7 King's College number 2, and in Lane 8 Hamilton Boys High School number 2. Now looking down the field, it does look like Hamilton Boys High in Lane 4 are in the lead, just ahead of North Shore 11 in Lane 2, coached by Andy McLean, and half of the Westlake Wahine, Lucy Anderson. So they are currently sitting in second place, ahead of North Shore 12 in Lane 1, with the other half of the Westlake Wahine, Hannah Kennedy, coaching with Andy McLean. So those are your top three crews at the moment. Hamilton Boys out in Lane 4, North Shore 11 in Lane 2, which is Westlake Boys, and North Shore 12 in Lake 1, which is another Westlake Boys crew. Following on from that, it looks to be the crew on the outside of Hamilton Boys there in Lane 5, Cambridge High School, trying to challenge for that third place, but they are alongside both of the King's College crews out in Lane 6 and Lane 7. So coming into the final 250 metres of the race, it is Hamilton Boys over North Shore 11 in Lane 2, the crew from Westlake Boys. There is currently a battle though between the two Westlake crews. Which one will get up on the other? Currently it is the one in Lane 2. They look to be bringing up their rating now. Their coxswains made that call. The crew though in Lane 4, Hamilton Boys, under some pressure from North Shore 11. North Shore 11 could be just getting a nose ahead of them though, so it will come down to the last 200 metres of the race. That crew from North Shore 11 looking across to Hamilton Boys, trying to put the power down. Hamilton Boys just leaning back a little bit more, swinging into things a bit more, and it will be Hamilton Boys to come into the last 100 metres ahead of North Shore 11 in Lane 2. But with 100 metres to go, anything could happen. Hamilton Boys looking to extend their lead over North Shore 11 in Lane 2. North Shore 12 in Lane 1 has been left behind by their teammates, and they do have clear water over them, but it will be Hamilton Boys just in front by a boat length of North Shore number 2, that's the Westlake Boys crew, ahead of another North Shore crew in Lane 1, followed by Cambridge High School out there in the middle, King's College number 1, in Lane 6, King's College number 2, Coxed 4, sponsored by Crew Room. And on the course now with under half of the race to go is the women's novice coxed 8. In lane 1 we have Hawke's Bay number 1, lane 2 Waikato number 2, lane 3 Cambridge 21, lane 4 Waikato number 1, lane 5 Cambridge High School number 1, lane 6 Hamilton Girls High School number 1, lane 7 Hamilton Girls High School number 2, and in lane 8 Cambridge High School number 2. But looking out there, it does look like Cambridge High School number 1 out in lane 5 has a clear lead over their outside competitors. Hamilton Girls High School number 1, those are currently the top 2 crews, with the crews in lane 2, 3 and 4, Waikato, Cambridge and Waikato, battling it out for 3rd place. But Cambridge High School, coming into the last 500 metres of the race, look to have the lead over lane 6, Hamilton Girls High School. So Cambridge High School out in lane 5, still in the lead, coached by Carl Matson and Alyssa George. They will be happy with this performance. Great for them to also have 2 8s in this final, as well as Hamilton Girls having 2 8s in here. But it is Cambridge High School as they come into the last 250 metres with about a boat length over their outside competitors, Hamilton Girls, who have clear water on the rest of the field. Coming into 3rd place, it does look like Waikato number 1 in lane 4 is just ahead of lanes 2 and 3, Cambridge 21 and Waikato number 2. But Cambridge High School in lane 5 out to a comfortable lead as they come into the last 200 metres of their race, looking to extend the lead over Hamilton Girls High School number 1, coached by Georgia King. These 2 boats have clear water over the rest of the field, but it is a little bit of a battle for 3rd place between the 2 Waikato crews and the Cambridge crews. Cambridge High School into their last 100 metres. This is the final of the women's novice coxed 8. And there is some great rowing here from these novices. This is their first year of racing, and usually these boats look a little bit like an uncoordinated spider, but these girls seem to have it all together and are in a comfortable position with clear water over Hamilton Girls High School. Those Cambridge High School rowers finish now in 1st place with about half a boat length of clear water over Hamilton Girls. Well done to Cambridge Girls High School and Hamilton Girls High, who will finish in 2nd. Waikato in lane 4, though, Waikato number 1, coached by Jessie Brooke Watt, looking to come over in 3rd place, ahead of Cambridge 21 in lane 3 and Waikato number 2 in lane 2. So a lot of local crews out here in this women's novice coxed 8, competing down on their home turf. And Hawke's Bay and Cambridge High School number 2 will round out that final of the women's novice coxed 8, sponsored by Waipa District Council. Looking down the track now to the final of the girls under 16 coxed quadruple sculls. This event is sponsored by Kebabalicious. For great tasting kebabs and Turkish food, visit them at 64 Victoria Street in Leamington. Now in lane 1 we have St George's 11, lane 2 Mercer number 1, lane 3 Hamilton number 1, lane 4 Hodaki Plains number 1, lane 5 Hamilton Girls High School number 1, lane 6 Cambridge 21, lane 7 Whangarei number 1, and in lane 8 Waikato number 1. At the moment though, it is the crew in lane 5 Hamilton Girls High School that have the lead over Hodaki Plains on the inside. In lane 4 Hamilton Girls High School out in the lead over Hodaki Plains, who just have the lead on Cambridge 21 out in lane 6. So they have about 500 metres to go in this race. Hamilton looking to extend their lead out now. They've got clear water on Hodaki Plains, but they look to be upping their rating as they come into the last quarter of their race. Hodaki Plains responding though, they're bringing their rating up in the final of the girls under 16 coxed quadruple sculls. We do have Cambridge out in lane 6 giving them a little bit of a challenge, but we also have the Hamilton crew in lane 3 responding to that. So those four are pushing up ahead of the rest of the field. We've got almost a flying V formation going on out there. Not quite, and we'll hope to see that a little bit later in the day. But at the moment, Hamilton girls out in the lead. This crew of Sarah Kate, Maya, Caitlin, Amelia, and Tiana as the coxswain, coached by Georgia King. They're looking quite comfortable out there as they come into the last 250 metres. I think Hamilton in lane 3, though, have gotten up ahead of Cambridge 21 out in lane 6. Hamilton up into that third place, putting the challenge down on Hodaki Plains, coached by Jeremy Cryer out in lane 4. Hodaki looking to keep up in that second place, but it is still Hamilton girls looking very relaxed out there in the final of the girls under 16 coxed quadruple sculls. So Hamilton Girls High School looking to close out this race with clear water over Hodaki Plains. Hamilton out in lane 3 looking to push up on Hodaki Plains with about 150 metres to go, but it is Hodaki Plains in second place. Hamilton Girls though cruising into the finish here, clear water over the rest of the field. Hamilton Girls, well done, coached by Georgia Allen, looking nice and relaxed into their finish, and they will cross over very soon to win the final of the girls under 16 coxed quadruple sculls, followed by Hodaki Plains, who are just clear of Hamilton Club out in lane 3. So well done to Hodaki Plains for holding them off, and Hamilton Club will have 3/4 of a boat length over Cambridge out in lane 6, that crew from St Peter's out there. Well done on those top 4 crews, and we look back to Whangarei looking to cross over next, and a bit of a battle between Mercer on the inside and Waikato on the outside. It will be Whangarei to cross ahead of them, but it does look like Waikato just have the edge over Mercer here on the inside. And it will be Whangarei, Waikato, and then Mercer, with St George's here finishing out the final for the girls under 16 coxed quadruple sculls. And we are into another exciting quadruple sculls final with the final of the women's intermediate quads. Coming down the track now, they have about 500 metres to go. This event sponsored by Top Notch Calves. In lane 1, we have North Shore number 1, lane 2, Hamilton Girls High School number 1, lane 3, Cambridge number 1, lane 4, Tauranga number 1, lane 5, Hamilton 1, lane 6, Bay of Plenty Coast number 1, lane 7, St George's 31, and out in lane 8, Rotorua number 1. But if you look to the middle of the course, out in lane 4, it does look to be like the Tauranga crew that has stormed ahead of the rest of their pack. Their closest competitors look to be Bay of Plenty Coast out in lane 6, who are coming up into that second place position, but they are being challenged by North Shore number 1 on the inside in lane 1 for that second place. So that is Tauranga number 1, coached by Steve Finlayson and Troy Page, out to quite a lead. But North Shore in lane 1 have just upped their rating. They're trying to match up with Bay of Plenty Coast out in lane 6 and also get ahead of Rotorua out in lane 8. So it looks like North Shore in lane 1 could be coming up on Bay of Plenty Coast as they come into the final 250 metres of their race. But it is definitely Tauranga out in front, this crew of Portia Dawson, Ruby Church, Catherine McIver, Sarah Laban Ten Dam and Lottie Hale Short. So they will cruise over to hopefully win the intermediate Cox quadruple sculls with about 200 metres to go. But who will get second place? We look to lane 1 and lane 6. North Shore 1, coached by Barry Mabbott, and Bay of Plenty Coast 1, coached by Ted Phelps. They are going almost stroke for stroke. Tauranga with clear water over the field, but it does look to be like it is Bay of Plenty Coast over North Shore by about 3/4 of a boat length there. Tauranga with clear water over the rest of the field, and they've got about 10 strokes to go before they take out the final of the Women's Intermediate Cox Quadruple Sculls, sponsored by Top Notch Calves. Bay of Plenty Coast in lane 6, trying to extend that lead over North Shore, but they won't need to for too long because they've got about 2 strokes to go before they've crossed the line. So that is Bay of Plenty Coast in second, North Shore number 1 in third, and it'll be Rotorua on the outside in lane 8 to take that 4th place, followed by St George's in lane 5, and then Hamilton Girls High School in lane 2. You will notice here the crew in lane 3 have made an amazing effort of racing a 2-kilometre race with only 3 rowers. So a great effort from those girls there for still racing this race. Great effort there from Cambridge. Well done on completing that race. Big fist bumps in the air from the Cambridge crew. Lane 3, Tauranga 1, Lane 4, Auckland 1, Lane 5, Bay of Plenty Coast 1, Lane 6, Mercer 1, Lane 7, Hawke's Bay 1, and in Lane 8, North Shore 1. It is the sculler though in Lane 5, Bay of Plenty Coast, Jemima Glahome, who is in the lead, but she is under a lot of pressure from Tegan Negus in Lane 2 from Rotorua. It could be anyone's race with 250 metres to go. These two just ahead of the rower from the Hawke's Bay, Angela Carney, out challenging for that third place. Angela has some pressure though from the outside. Brooke Vincent from North Shore in lane 8, trying to get up into that third place. But it will be the Bay of Plenty Coast sculler Jemima out in front. Tegan from Rotorua looking to challenge for that first place with 200 metres to go in the race. We just see Bay of Plenty Coast sculler Jemima out in lane 5, really lengthening out her stroke, coming into the closing stages of the final of the Women's Club Single Sculls. Tegan in lane 2 from Rotorua trying to respond, but it will be Jemima coming through the last 100 metres ahead of Tegan in lane 2 from Rotorua, and then Angela Carney from Hawke's Bay coming over, currently sitting in third place. The sculler on the outside stages, but it will be Jemima from Bay of Plenty Coast to take out the Women's Club Single Sculls. And the Hawke's Bay rower looks to have gotten ahead of Rotorua, and I think Angela Carney from Hawke's Bay has taken that second place from Tegan from Rotorua, and we have Brooke Vincent out in lane 8 from North Shore, followed very closely by Tauranga and Mercer, with Auckland and Hamilton also coming down to finish the final of the Women's Club Single Sculls, sponsored by the New Zealand Community Trust. second with the Bay of Plenty Coast Composite with Topor out in third place there. Hamilton looking quite comfortable and relaxed alongside Mercer. Bay of Plenty Coast and Topor though, just bringing it up a little bit, trying to catch that second place as they come through the last 250 metres of the race. Behind Bay of Plenty Coast, their closest competitors from Auckland Rowing Club out in lane 6 and St George's out in lane 7. But it will be Hamilton as they come into their last 100 metres of the race. They've just brought their rating up a little bit, but look nice and relaxed as they come through now, with Mercer about a boat length behind them, followed by that Bay of Plenty Coast Topor Composite out in lane 5. And here come Hamilton as they come into the last 50 metres looking nice and relaxed, having a clear lead over Mercer Rowing Club in lane 3. Mercer Rowing Club with about 3/4 of a boat length over the Bay of Plenty Coast Topor Composite there in lane 5. So well done to those three crews. That was the final of the men's club coxless quadruple sculls. We then have Auckland Rowing Club and St George's with North Shore to follow. To thank Takapoto Estate for their sponsorship of this event. They, alongside Kawasaki New Zealand, provided the use of a 2023 Pro Mule MX over the weekend to help save the volunteers on a significant number of steps getting around the regatta venue. So the Mule Pro MX is Kawasaki's mid-size 2-passenger 700cc side-by-side built to withstand the demands over New Zealand farmers. The volunteers appreciated the all-day comfort from its Collegiate in lane 1, coached by Martine Simoncelli and Bruce Jones, and the crew in lane 4 from Whakatane, coached by Graham Watt, battling it out for that second place. Outside of Whakatane, we also have Tauranga Boys College that are giving them a good push and keeping them under pressure. But it is the crew from West End 21, the crew made up of St. Peter's School, or St. Peter's College, sorry, in Auckland, students racing under their club colours of West End in lane 3. And as they come into the last 250 metres, they are comfortably in the lead ahead of Whakatane in lane 4 and St. Paul's Collegiate in lane 1. St. Paul's Collegiate, though, looking to be upping their rating at the moment as they come into the last 250 metres, trying to put the pressure on Whakatane in lane 4 and St. Peter's in lane 3, rowing for West End. But those West End boys look nice and relaxed as they come into the closing stages of the boys under 18 coxed quadruple sculls. We see a big push here though. Lane 1, St. Paul's really trying to come up on Whakatane and on West End. Will they have enough water to do so? West End coming into the last 100 metres of the race. Martine, I'm sure, is standing on the bank, willing on the crew from St. Peter's. Whakatane responding though. Both crews through to the last 100 metres. West End have a safe lead over those crews, but it is a battle for second place between St. Paul's Collegiate and Whakatane out in lane 4. It does look to be like Whakatane just ahead of St. Paul's down in lane 1, and it is. They have about half a boat length, and Whakatane will cross over in second place ahead of St. Paul's Collegiate, and lane 5 following very closely. Tauranga Boys College just missing out on that third place there. Cambridge High School finishing in lane 2, and St. Paul's on the outside, and West End 22 closing out the under 18 Cox quadruple sculls. So well done to West End there, those St. Peter's boys on their win in the under 18 Cox quadruple sculls, sponsored by Fresh Choice. And turning our attention back to the racecourse, we have the B final of the men's novice coxed 4. We have had a promotion in this race as well. Auckland Grammar now take the spot in lane 2. So in lane 1, King's College number 1, lane 2, Auckland Grammar number 1, lane 3, North Shore 14, lane 4, King's College number 2, lane 5, Hamilton number 1, lane 6, North Shore 12, lane 7, Cambridge 21, and out in lane 8, Sacred Heart Auckland number 2. But if you turn your attention to lane 5, it does look to be like the Hamilton crew with a very clear lead over the rest of the pack in this B final of the men's novice coxed 4. So Hamilton out to a very comfortable lead, coached there by Liam Herder. Liam will be happy with this performance, I'm sure. Their closest competition comes from lane 4. It looks to be like King's College number 2. So King's College number 2 out there in lane 4, and King's College number 1 in lane 1, coached by Ethan Henderson and Marcus Clementine out there. Well done to Kings on having 2 crews in this race, and also for making it down here and being able to row, considering the vast fire that went through their club rooms just a few weeks ago. So Hamilton Rowing Club, though, with clear water on the rest of the pack. King's College number 2 in lane 4 and King's College number 1 in lane 1 will take first, second and third if nothing changes. But Auckland Grammar, a late addition to this race, are out there in lane 2, battling out against North Shore 12 in lane 6, who just had a bit of an issue with their oar there to let Cambridge 21 maybe sneak in front of them, but North Shore seem to have recovered. But this lead from Hamilton number 1 is very impressive, so well done to this crew. Caden Topher, Gabriel Greening, Quinn Howard-Shee, Johnny Butler and Abdu Ismail as the coxswain. They're very clear of the rest of the field. King's College number 2 there in lane 4, up ahead of their teammates, their number 1 crew in lane 1. But this is a very commanding performance from Hamilton in lane 1. So well done to Liam Herder and your crew for taking out the B final of the men's novice coxed 4. With King's College in lane 4, Harvey Kit Reeve, Hamish Edmonds, Lewis Arnott, Henry Main and coxed by Gemma Kidd. They will take out second place, with King's College number 1 out in third. But look at Cambridge and North Shore on the outside. They're battling for 4th place. Cambridge nearly sneaking up into 3rd, but it will be Cambridge ahead of North Shore in lane 6. Auckland Grammar in lane 2, a late addition, crossing over the line now, followed by North Shore and Sacred Heart number 2. 3 crew, Hamilton Boys High School number 2. So those 3 Hamilton Boys crews putting on a dominating performance there. Their closest challengers are out in lane 7, St George's 31. Now that St George's crew do look to be like they are from Glendowie, racing under St George's Club, but they are under pressure from North Shore 11 on the outside. A Westlake Boys crew coached by Matt Lupton and Meg Ashford, the commentator that you heard a little bit earlier. So it is still Hamilton Boys in lane 4 though in the lead, followed by Hamilton Boys in lane 5 and Hamilton Boys in lane 3. There is a performance here though from Mercer in lane 1. They're trying to push up ahead of their outside competitors in lane 7 and lane 8. It does look like the North Shore crew though in lane 8 may have just gotten ahead of St George's in lane 7. And the crew in lane 2, Sacred Heart Auckland, bringing up their rating and really going for it in the last 300 metres of this race. But Hamilton Boys number 1, coached by Scott Brownlee, seem to be in quite a comfortable lead here. So coming into the last 100 metres of their race, we do see the Hamilton Boys crew in lane 4, currently with a clear lead against their teammates in lane 5. Remember, this is novice racing, so all of these boys are in their first year of racing. And Hamilton Boys number 1 crew just crossed into the last 100 metres. They're looking nice and comfortable ahead of Hamilton Boys number 3 in lane 5 and Hamilton Boys number 2 in lane 3, but it is a bit of a battle. Sacred Heart in lane 2 and Mercer in lane 1 really going for it. Sacred Heart just getting ahead of Mercer there, and it will be a battle for that 4th place. St George's on the outside though have got it ahead of North Shore in lane 8 and are also going for that 4th place. It will be a Hamilton Boys 1, 2, 3 though, so well done to Hamilton Boys on that dominating performance in the A final of the men's novice coxed 4. But look at this race for 4th. It is Sacred Heart, maybe just ahead of St George's. It will be on the line. I think it's Sacred Heart, St George's, and then Mercer in lane 1, but I will let the judges decide that, with North Shore on the outside and North Shore in the middle to round out that A final. I'm sure those boys are very happy to have that race over and are ready to get nice and warm.
Gotten ahead of St George's in lane 7 and the crew in lane 2, Sacred Heart gotten ahead of St George's in lane 7 and the crew in lane 2, Sacred Heart Boys in lane 4 though in the lead, followed by Hamilton Boys in lane 5 and Hamilton Boys in lane 3. There is a performance here though from Mercer in lane 1. They're trying to push up ahead of their outside competitors in lane 7 and lane 8. It does look like the North Shore crew though in lane 8 may have just gotten ahead.
Alongside lane 7, Waldo Singleton and Dan Tomlinson. It is Waldo's 22nd birthday today, so happy birthday Waldo. I'm sure you're enjoying this racing right now as a birthday present. And Hamilton Boys High School number 2, Thomas Link and William Milne in lane 5, battling for that 2nd place. So it looks to be the North Shore crew in lane 3. That could be just ahead of the other two. but it is a dominating performance from Zach Brownlee and Dylan McConnell in lane 4 from Hamilton Boys High School. So they're coming in to the closing stages of their race looking nice and relaxed, looking at the whole field from their vantage point, and they look like they could just row it straight home. But the battle for second place is on, with North Shore in lane 3 really upping their rating, slightly going out of their lane and going into lane 4. Well done to Hamilton Boys on that win, but it is very close for second place. North Shore going off. Ooh, and they are going to finish very close to Hamilton Boys, with North Shore in lane 7 coming in just behind them, West End in lane 2 finishing, and North Shore in lane 1 just behind them. I do not want to call who won it though out of that Hamilton Boys and North Shore crew. I will let the judges decide that one. And we just have West End, two West End crews to close out the final of the men's senior coxless pair oars. Now, it is a bit rainy and the vision is a little bit low, or the visibility, but that is only 2 crews that you are seeing in the final of the women's.
It does look like the North Shore crew, though, in lane 8 may have just gotten ahead of St.
And with 200 metres to go, it is Megan Farquhar and Atlanta Bruce in the lead, coached by Mary-Kate Ella Campbell. And we've just caught a little bit of water there in the stroke seat, with West End coming through, trying to take that lead, but North Shore have recovered and are maintaining that lead on West End out in lane 5. So this is the final of the women's senior coxless pairs. This North Shore pair, Megan Farquhar and Atlanta Bruce, just ahead of West End, Lily Curnow and Olivia Tattersfield. And we've gone a little bit skew on our course, but we've come back into the middle of the lane with a strong finish. West End coming back at North Shore, but they've left it a little bit too late. It will be North Shore to take the win. So well done to Ella Mary-Kate Campbell on the win for North Shore. I'm sure you'll be happy. And well done to Lily Curnow and Olivia Tattersfield on their second place. Coming down now, we have the final of the men's intermediate coxed octuple sculls, sponsored by Crew Room. In lane 1, St George's 31, lane 2, Sacred Heart Auckland number 1, lane 3, St Paul's Collegiate number 1, lane 4, St Paul's Collegiate number 2, lane 5, North Shore 11, lane 6, Tauranga Boys College, lane 7, Whakatane number 1, and in lane 8, North Shore 12. Now it does look to be like the crew from St George's in lane 1 that could be battling for first place alongside Sacred Heart Auckland in lane 2, but do not discount St Paul's in the middle there. St Paul's in lane 4, coached by Martine Simoncelli and Victoria Goodwin, as well as the crew on their outside, North Shore 11. They're all front runners for podium positions, but I do think it is Sacred Heart in lane 2 that just have the edge over St George's in lane 1 in the final of the men's intermediate coxed octuple sculls. North Shore there, Sacred Heart Auckland in lane 2, looking very crisp with some nice blade work there. And they are just trying to get ahead of St George's in lane 1, but there is a bit of a challenge coming from lane 5, North Shore 11. North Shore 11, that is a Westlake Boys crew. And they are just in front of St Paul's Collegiate in lane 4. St Paul's Collegiate still trying to hang on, but they are under pressure from one of the outside lanes, lane 6. That is Tauranga Boys College coming up and bringing their rating up for the last 300 metres of this race. But it is Sacred Heart Auckland in lane 2, currently leading the charge in the men's intermediate coxed octuple sculls. So Westlake Boys rowing under North Shore colours, trying to bring it up. They've had a little bit of a mishap with one of their oars though, and will that be enough for Tauranga Boys to overtake them? It looks like they've recovered quite well though, but Tauranga Boys are on the charge and trying to chase them down. Sacred Heart Auckland maintaining that lead though, with St George's in lane 1, holding on to that second place. But North Shore and Westlake Boys, they are coming back and they are challenging St George's in lane 1. Sacred Heart entering the last 100 metres, and it looks like North Shore have overtaken St George's in lane 1 going into the last 100 metres. Sacred Heart with a strong finish here. They are very close to taking out the final of the men's intermediate coxed octuple sculls, with North Shore, the Westlake Boys crew, just pipping ahead of St George's here. And it will be North Shore ahead of St George's, ahead of Tauranga Boys, and ahead of St Paul's in lane 4. A very exciting finish there in the final of the men's intermediate coxed octuple sculls, with another St Paul's crew and North Shore in a borrowed Mags boat. Great to see that Auckland inter-school collegiality going on there to finish out the intermediate coxed octuples. And coming down now, the final of the Women's Club Coxes 4, sponsored by Rob Bristow Rowing Images. In Lane 1, Mercer 1, Lane 2, Hamilton 1, Lane 3, Cambridge High School 1, Lane 4, North Shore 1, Lane 5, Hawke's Bay number 2, Lane 6, Cambridge 21, Lane 7, Auckland number 1, and in Lane 8, Hawke's Bay number 1. It is the crew in Lane 4 though, North Shore 1, coached by Liam Avery, that is currently in the lead here. So North Shore with some pressure coming from the outside. Auckland number 1, coached by Pete Mills and Pete Mason. They are currently challenging for that top spot, but it is North Shore clearly in the lead. Auckland Rowing Club in second, and a big push from Lane 3 there, Cambridge High School, coached by Carl Manson and Maureen Carty. They are coming up into that third place position. North Shore, though, with a comfortable lead as they come into the last 250 metres of their race. Auckland Rowing Club on the outside with Clearwater over Cambridge. And then in fourth place, it looks like the crew on the outside, Hawke's Bay. Hawke's Bay over the crew in Lane 1, Mercer Rowing Club, battling it out for that fourth place position. North Shore and Auckland, though, extending their lead over the rest of the pack. North Shore coming down here in Lane 4. That is Caitlin Nord, Taylor Penberthy, Brooke Vincent, Isabel Welch, and coached by Liam Avery and Mary-Kate Campbell. They are a boat length over Auckland Rowing Club, Te Aria Jackson, Rebecca McLaren, Taylor Malcolmson, and Annie Williams, coached by both Pete Mills and Pete Mason. North Shore coming into their last 100 metres with a comfortable lead over Auckland. Both of these crews have extended their lead out over their next competitor, Cambridge High School, Charlotte Wilson, Keely Roger, Mackenzie Lawton, Lauren Wood, and coached by Carlin Marie. They will be a clear third place, but it is North Shore. Now Auckland have caught them up a little bit, but they've run out of room to overtake as North Shore will cross the line in a couple of strokes to take out the win in the Women's Club Coxless 4. They're 3/4 of a boat length over Auckland Rowing Club. And behind them are Cambridge High School in Lane 3. Now it is between Hawke's Bay on the outside and Mercer on the inside for that fourth place, but it does look to be like Hawke's Bay on the outside could have that edge on them. And they do. Hawke's Bay do have that advantage. They will cross over in fourth place in front of Mercer Rowing Club. Well done to Hawke's Bay. And that's Hawke's Bay number 1 on the outside, Mercer on the inside, and Hawke's Bay number 2 and Cambridge on the inside. And we look now to the final of the Girls Under 18 Cox 4. This event is sponsored by New Zealand Community Trust. And in Lane 1, we have Cambridge High School number 1, Sorry, that is lane 2. Lane 3, Cambridge High School number 2. Lane 4, Waikato number 2. Lane 5, Waikato number 1. Lane 6, Waikato number 3. And in lane 7, Hamilton 21. So it's a little bit of a local derby with Cambridge and Waikato schools only in this final. It does look to be in the middle. 2 of the Waikato crews in the lead. The crew in lane 5, Waikato number 1, coached by Alice Denyer, just ahead of their teammates in lane 4, Waikato number 2, looking to be in a clear lead over Cambridge High School in lane 3, coming up in 3rd place. So these local schools are close to forming a V formation. We're just a little bit off, but we do hope to see that a bit later today. But those 2 Waikato crews, Waikato 1 and 2 in lanes 5 and 4, are your clear leaders at the moment in the girls under 18 coxed 4. And as they come into their last 250 metres, the crew in lane 5, Waikato number 1 of Taylor Kilmeister, Elise Orr, Milan Nordstrom, Isabel Melville and Maya Trower are charging ahead, trying to get some clear water over their teammates in lane 4, Hannah Tomlin, Rachel Bryant, Georgia Treblico and Casey Spencer, coxed by Rosie Savage. These 2 crews looking like they're both from Waikato Diocesan. So some strong sweeping here in the girls under 18 coxed 4. And they have clear water over Cambridge High School in lane 3. That is Danny Van Dyke, Kendall Muir, Elise Pickford, Brooke Cameron and Jack Charlton as the coxswain. Those 3 crews are the leaders, but these 2 Waikato crews have clear water over the rest of the field. So well done to Waikato in lane 5 and lane 4, those coaches Alice Denyer and Kate Lorich, with a commanding performance here in the final of the girls under 18 coxed 4. And we look now to the B final of the women's novice cox quadruple sculls. In lane 1, we have Hamilton 1, lane 2, Hamilton 21, lane 3, Cambridge High School number 1, lane 4, Tauranga number 2, lane 5, Waikato number 2, lane 6 appears to be empty, lane 7, Cambridge 23, and in lane 8, Hamilton Girls High School number 1. So at the moment, it is a bit of a battle for first place. That Cambridge Club crew in lane 7, Cambridge 23, up with the crew in lane 4, Tauranga number 2, with a bit of a challenge on the inside from Hamilton number 1. Now it does look to be like there is a Cambridge crew just being shepherded by the umpire's boat a bit in lane 6. So hopefully all is well there. But it is their counterparts, Cambridge 23, just behind Tauranga in lane 4. Tauranga number 2 look to be in the lead. Trying to extend away from lane 1 and lane 7, that is Hamilton number 1 and Cambridge 23. Hamilton, though, not going down without a fight. They seem to have increased their rating. They are in the last 500 metres of their race. And it is between lane 1 and lane 4, Hamilton and Tauranga for this first place. Now this is the B final of the novice cox quadruple sculls. Don't discount Cambridge on the outside though. They are sticking up there with those race leaders, but it is between Tauranga in lane 4 and Hamilton in lane 1. Hamilton in lane 1, sneaking ahead of Tauranga in lane 4, and Cambridge on the outside, trying to come back at Tauranga, but it does look like Hamilton have snuck in front of Tauranga. The Hamilton crew of Lila Williams, Antonia Shaw, Megan Sherrod, Ariel Smith, and Briar Duncan. Coming through that last 250, just ahead of Tauranga there in lane 4, coached by Richard Van Dyke and Jeff Johnson. And that Cambridge crew on the outside, coached by Kaylin Wren and Sam Voss. Those are your 3 leaders of the race at the moment with 200 metres to go. It's anyone's race at the moment. We're seeing a lot of supporters down there starting to shout out. It does look like Hamilton Club in lane 1. And Cambridge on the outside coming through. It looks like Cambridge may have taken the lead though. Cambridge in lane 7, coached by Kaylin Wren and Sam Voss, through to the last 100 metres, ahead of Hamilton Club in lane 1 and Tauranga in lane 4. So this in the closing stages of the B final of the women's novice cox quadruple sculls. A lot of support down here for these novice rowers. And Cambridge, with about 5 strokes to go, will take out the B final. And it is very close between Hamilton and Tauranga here. It could just be Tauranga in front of Hamilton. Big cheers from the St. Peter's crew, though, racing under Cambridge colours for their win in the B final. Waikato coming across and Cambridge High School just behind them. Now hopefully everything's okay with this Cambridge crew out in lane 6. But that was the B final of the women's novice cox quadruple sculls, and if you look a little bit further down the course you will see the A final coming up about halfway through their race. That looks like quite an even line, but if I had to call it at the moment, I could say it is the crew in lane 4, Whangarei, that could just be ahead of the crew in lane 1, North Shore. And we have the A final of the Women's Novice Coxed Quadruple Sculls coming down, an event sponsored by Waipart District Council. In Lane 1, North Shore number 1, Lane 2, Counties Manukau number 2, Lane 3, Counties Manukau number 1, Lane 4, Whangarei number 1, Lane 5, Whangarei number 2, Lane 6, Waikato number 1, Lane 7, Whangarei number 3, and Lane 8, Tauranga number 1. It is the Whangarei crew in the middle though in Lane 4 with quite a commanding lead over the rest of the field. Whangarei number 1 in front of the crew in Lane 6, Waikato number 1, but they're being challenged from the outside by Tauranga out in Lane 8. It is Whangarei in the middle though with a distinct lead over those other two crews. Whangarei out in Lane 4, still in the lead. Tauranga on the outside, putting a challenge in against of Waikato in Lane 6, but there is also a crew in Lane 1, North Shore number 1, trying to come up on these race leaders. But Whangarei with clear water over the rest of the pack. I think Tauranga on the outside in Lane 8. I think they could have a nose in front of Waikato in the Lane 6. This crew from North Shore, though, in Lane 1, not giving up, trying to get up into that third place position. But you can see the wind's just picked up, so it's making things a little bit more difficult for these novice scullers. They're doing very well, given the conditions. Whangarei putting on a strong display of sculling at this regatta. This crew, coached by Chris Williams and Stuart Widgar, with clear water over Tauranga on the outside, coached by Jeff Johnson and Richard Van Dyke. And North Shore in Lane 1, putting the challenge to Waikato out in Lane 6 for that third place, but it will be Waikato just ahead of them. These Whangarei scullers just bringing up their rating a touch, coming into the last 100 metres, as well as Tauranga on the outside. Tauranga in second place, ahead of North Shore and Waikato. We're seeing the wind really affect a little bit of the blade work here. So hopefully these rowers can keep calm as they come into their last 100 metres. But Whangarei with a dominating display of sculling today, closing out the A final of the Women's Novice Coxed Quadruple Sculls with a boat length and a half over Tauranga out in Lane 8. And Tauranga will be coming over in second place ahead of North Shore and Waikato. It is Waikato with a canvas over North Shore, and Waikato will come over in third place ahead of North Shore, as well as the Whangarei 2 crew and Whangarei 3 crew. And those crews finish ahead of the Counties Manukau crews to round out the final of the Women's Novice Coxed Quadruple Sculls. But not too far behind them is the Men's Novice Double final. Some novice sculling going on in these windy conditions. In Lane 1, we have West End 22, Lane 2, St George's 31, Lane 3, Cambridge number 1, Lane 4, Bay of Plenty Coast number 1, Lane 5, Cambridge 21, Lane 6, Bay of Plenty Coast number 2, and in Lane 7, Whangarei number 1, with Whangarei number 2 outside them in Lane 8. Now this event is sponsored by Croker Oars, and we are seeing some exciting racing in the middle. That wind just pushed that Bay of Plenty Coast boat over a little bit, and we saw a little bit of a dip of the riggers on their stroke side there. They still maintain the lead though, with Whangarei on the outside. Whangarei in Lane 7 coming back with a bit of a challenge, but Bay of Plenty have recovered. Bay of Plenty really driving up the rating now in this final of the Men's Novice Double Sculls. Bay of Plenty maintaining that lead over Whangarei, Those two are in first and second place at the moment. Third place looking like it's coming from Cambridge in the middle, Cambridge 21. So Bay of Plenty out here in lane 4, Logan Lands and Jacob Trillo are leading the race in the last 250 metres of the final of the men's novice double sculls. On the outside in lane 7 though, Hugh Manson and Devon Armstrong from Whangarei number 1 trying to chase them down, but Logan and Jacob may just have the edge on them in the last 200 metres. Coming up in third behind them though, Cambridge, Dylan Cobus and Luca Cartwright from the Cambridge number 1 crew. Just in third place ahead of Cambridge 21 in lane 5. Cambridge 21 crew of Dennis Mao and Max Fielder, but it will be the Cambridge number 3 crew, Dylan Cobus and Luca Cartwright, coached by Carl Manson and Jack Hogg, currently sitting in that third place. Bay of Plenty Coast though still in the lead, Clearwater over Whangarei. That is Logan Lands and Jacob Trillo. They will take out the final of the men's novice double sculls. Well done to Logan and Jacob, with Whangarei rowers Hugh Manson and Devon Armstrong on the outside taking second place. Both of those crews with Clearwater over lanes 3 and 5, both from Cambridge. Bit of a challenge coming from lane 5, Cambridge 21, Dennis Mao and Max Fielder, but Cambridge number 1, Dylan and Luca. Cambridge number 1, Dylan and Luca will hold their lead over. They are looking for that finish line. It has been a tough race, and they have finished in third place ahead of Cambridge 21. We then have Bay of Plenty Coast number 2, followed by West End 22, and St George's and Whangarei number 2 to close out the final of the men's novice double sculls. St George's 31, lane 4, Hamilton number 2, lane 5, Rotorua number 1, lane 6, West End 31, lane 7, Cambridge number 1, and in lane 8, Whangarei number 3. It is a little bit of a battle for first place out there. At the moment, it looks like the sculler in lane 2 from Rotorua, Sarah O'Driscoll, is up there with the sculler in lane 7 from Cambridge, Singer Hickson, as well as the rower in the middle from Rotorua. Sorry, that rower is Francis Hazeldine. Those three look to be in the front of the pack. There is 300 metres to go in this race, and it is pretty close between those three scullers there. Rotorua in lane 2, though, Sarah O'Driscoll might just have an edge over the other two scullers. Rotorua in lane 1, though, that is Frances Hazeldine. She's starting to come up, as well as Cambridge number 1, Singer Hickson. These three are leading the pack in the final of the women's intermediate single sculls. A lot of cheering going on now. Let's hope these scullers can hear them to push them towards the finish line. It looks like Sarah in lane 2 has started winding it up. She's brought her rating up a bit, trying to get clear water in front of Rotorua number 1, Francis Hazeldine in lane 5, and it does look to be like the two Rotorua scullers in the lead at the moment. So it's clubmate versus clubmate, but at the moment it is lane 5, Rotorua Francis Hazeldine in the lead, with second place currently Sarah O'Driscoll from Rotorua, and Cambridge number 1 in lane 7, Singer Hickson, currently in third. But there is a strong finish here from these Rotorua scullers. Francis Hazeldine just looking across. She's ready for that finish line to come, and so is Rotorua number 2 sculler Sarah O'Driscoll. But it will be Francis in lane 5, Francis Hazeldine, Rotorua Rowing Club, followed by teammate Sarah O'Driscoll for that second place. And third place is Cambridge sculler Singer Hickson. Following on from them is West End sculler Amanda Chen in lane 6, Whangarei Alice Henderson, and in lane 3, Kiana McCallum from St George's. So an exciting finish here in the final of the women's intermediate single sculls. This event sponsored by Swift Racing, which, as you heard before, do coastal rowing shells and are looking to sell some ahead of the LA 2028 inclusion of coastal rowing.
Rotorua Rowing Club
Lane 3, Hawke's Bay number 1. Lane 4, Hamilton Girls High School number 2. Lane 5, St George's 31. Lane 6, Hauraki Plains number 2. Lane 7, Auckland number 1. And in lane 8, Mercer number 2. But it is Hauraki Plains in lane 2. That is the crew of Poppy Balm and Taylor Gibbs, coached by Faith Bell, that are currently leading the B final of the girls under 16 double sculls. They have clear water over the rest of the field, with the crew on the outside of them. That is Auckland Rowing Club in lane 7, Gemma Lorch Church and Francis Ogilvie, challenging for that second place. But there is also a challenge from Hawke's Bay in lane 3, Anita Nunez-Lowe and Helena Carney for that second place. So those two crews battling it out for second, but it is very clear that Hauraki Plains, Poppy Balm and Taylor Gibbs, providing everything goes well in this last 250 metres, will take out the B final of the girls under 16 double sculls. So a commanding performance from them. They've got a few boat lengths over their closest competitors, but it is a battle for second with Hawke's Bay in lane 3 and Auckland in lane 7. Hawke's Bay under a little bit of pressure from lane 2 on the inside, West End 31, that is Jessica Loxton and Eden Tinholt. But it is Hawke's Bay and Auckland Rowing Club going for that second place position. Hauraki Plains have nearly got it locked up in this B final of the girls under 16 double sculls. West End trying to come for Hawke's Bay in lane 3, but Hawke's Bay will pull away. Well done to Hauraki Plains though, finishing a good with good clear water over the rest of the field. That is a great race from those girls. And we look now to see who will take second place. It is Auckland Rowing Club over the Hawke's Bay. Auckland Rowing Club, Gemma Lorch Church and Francis Ogilvie finishing strong in second place here over Hawke's Bay number 1, Anita Nunez-Lowe and Helena Carney. They have pulled away from the challenge of West End in lane 2, Jessica Loxton and Eden Tinholt, with St George's following them in lane 1 and Hamilton Girls High School number 2 in lane 4. And coming down just behind them, the A final in the girls under 16 double sculls. This event is sponsored by Kawasaki. And in lane 1, we have Tauranga number 1. Lane 2, Hamilton Girls High School. And with just over 250 metres to go, it is still Hauraki Plains in the lead. They've just brought their rating up and starting their wind. They are under a little bit of pressure from their outside Cambridge High School, as well as their inside St Paul's Collegiate. But as they cross over that last 250 metres, they are definitely in the lead. It looks like the crew from Cambridge High School on their outside in lane 5 may be their closest opposition.